Hi, friends. I didn't really expect to record anything today. Guess I thought I was taking a day off. Almost did. It's about 9 p.m. here. What's the date? Friday the 7th. So, um, I just get that feeling in heart, Something becomes soup. It's been simmering a while. I don't know what it is. One thing I figured I'd do, though, is I would share with you the only other journal from the 4th that I haven't posted yet. They went up in an odd order, so this is actually the third one of that day, called What is True Happiness? And that day, the Mayan day, was two night or house, but I think before I read that, there might be something else here. Um, oh yeah, definitely. I wonder how many of you have ever heard of, I think his name is Richard Moss. Yeah. Um, I had heard of him before and heard him speak. And there are so many people speaking out there. We wouldn't have room for a thought in our head that was our own if we were to go and listen to all of it. So you make your choices, you make your selections, and you follow where you're led, and that's really great. And as we're all doing that, things serendipitously come together just right for you and for me. And so I just happened on, I like Conscious TV. Conscious TV is good, and they've got a YouTube site as well. And so their interviewer is McNay, and he's got a talent for what he does. When he interviews people, and he gets some pretty good names on there, he manages to bring out things that you're not going to find. It's not going to be the same old story. Some people, you tend to hear the same thing so much. It's like with David Icke. If I find something that's just an hour or less with him, I generally don't listen because they have him going over the same old things. How did you wake up and all that kind of thing. And there's no need to listen to that umpty-ump times. Well, Ian is very good. He has a really excellent interview with Muji there, where you learn things about Muji that, outside of that interview wouldn't have come up, most likely. So it's very enjoyable. Now, this is a very special interview that was done, and a very special flow that came through Richard Moss. It's called Richard Moss Radical Aliveness. Interview by, and I don't see the rest of the title, it's probably Ian McNay. I have it at the top of my favorites list right now. And I wanted to introduce it because Richard is in one of the most beautiful spaces I think I've seen anyone in. There's a lot of people that are waking up, and we're getting the bits and parts and pieces, and we're putting them together, and we're sharing back and forth, and the little things we pick up and the strength we draw from one another. It's really great. I hope everyone is learning. Trust your own heart, don't go bowing down before some guru somewhere. I mean, if you want to do that, if your heart calls you to do that, by all means, go for it, because the heart has to trump everything. And each one of us is a different puzzle piece. And so if my piece is in the sky and this other person's piece is in the ocean, then I don't really, what does the sky have to offer the ocean? They each one have to follow their own thing and sing their own song. Otherwise, the whole won't come out right. And so we have to expect one another to disagree or differ with us. I mean, there's beauty in it. There's real beauty in it. But what I want to say about Richard Moss and this Radical Aliveness interview, now he calls his workshops Radical Aliveness. That's what he's coined to try to explain the unexplainable, which is waking up. It's not being in a space. It's this next step is a waking up. This next step, and now the step that's right in front of you. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Even though that sounds kind of linear, there's something there. Be in heart, when you listen to me. Okay, Richard is a very humble man, and it's beautiful to watch. He's excellent. One is as good as it gets at self-observation, um, and at being in heart. Now, he doesn't call it that. I forget what he calls it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like centering in the body. Whatever you do, just get out of the head. I don't care if you center in your left big toe. Just so it's not the head, you're going to be fine. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be flip. But we get into these weird things based on words that just aren't necessary, to go there. Okay, so Richard started out as a doctor, believe it or not, and he tells his story. It's a 1 hour and a couple minutes interview. But the heart, and see, he had an awakening experience decades ago. And so it's had decades to simmer. And he's had this time to really chew on it and walk the walk and grow and develop and learn and experiment and experience. And so you get the richness of that when you listen to Richard Moss. He describes the uniting of the duality so beautifully in the ultimate transcendence and the oneness that's there for us, that's there for each and every one of us. And I want you to hear him explain why it is that we have the oneness and the transcendence, and then we have the smallness and the feelingness and not the separateness, but he describes why it is that he doesn't choose the ultimate transcendence, but instead he stays in what many might consider his lesser self, his feelingness, his humble connection with empathy, with humanity, with the faults and the imperfections that still remain. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. And he's got the walk in heart down, pat, perfect. He describes it as now he doesn't describe it as the walk in heart, but get out of the words, drop into your heart. It's a choice. It's a flow back and forth between expansion and contraction. And he describes how he knows this feeling of expansiveness in the heart and the beingness of everything. And then he describes how when he's going through his just day-to-day, mundane, whatever it is, chop wood, carry water kind of thing, when he feels any kind of a tightening, any kind of a contraction within, he knows to stop and look, because there's something he's saying or doing or thinking, or there's something in an interaction there that's not just right. And he can tell by the sense of contracting that that's the case. And he reads that. He's very, very sensitive to it. And he adjusts himself based on that. And he describes how that keeps him on course. It is literally one of the most beautiful explanations I have ever heard. There's a lovely play and interchange between interviewer and interviewee as well. So, I'll recommend ConsciousTV in general. One of my subscribers shared a link to it with me, and it's been several interviews ago. I don't even remember anymore who the first interview was that I watched out there. But do go to my favorites and click on the link for the Richard Moss interview if you want a real treat. And it's an hour long, you know, give it some time to load, get a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever you will, and sit back and prepare to enjoy. All right, now with that as an intro, what is true happiness? So this is the written journal. Well, the experiment goes on. If I open another journal, what will come out? Could I just sit here all day doing this? I might try it one day. I suspect that perhaps that could happen. I don't know. It doesn't matter really. All that matters is this now. Ah, how funny. Nothing is coming here. Is that higher self communing with me? Giving me a message perhaps? And what would that be? Obviously, it's to do with what I had just said. I'm turning in here, seeing if I can heart sense what is being said. And I begin to get the sense of it. My way of looking at things up there was simply inaccurate. Not wrong, just not quite right. It was too linear. I must step up higher to see what is what. All there is the now. That's what I'm getting. It's not like there even is such a thing as all day to sit here and journal. The whole premise is flawed. Very good. I accept. It is so subtle, my friend, the inaccuracies woven into our consciousness. If we're not centered in heart, then we don't have access to the inner tutor who is always there to help shape and guide us in our understanding. So if we want to cooperate with life, really get what is going on, then we center within. That's the place. And I don't care if it doesn't make any sense, so what? Just try it. You may like it quite a lot. People are often asking me, what is it to be in heart? Well, it's not more than to keep placing one's attention in the center of the chest. Really, that is all. You just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. Place little reminders about. You'll find yourself remembering more often and staying maybe a little bit longer each time. You're right on track. Soon, very soon, if you're serious about it, it becomes a habit. Just center down. That is all. You see, in doing this, it acts like a prayer. Just in doing this simple activity, you are, in effect, saying to the isness, to Source, to God, I want to be close to you. This is a desire for reunion with higher self that motivates such action, and that is recognized. That is intent. And the other key thing to practice is self-observation, and that is easier said than done. For we've been terribly programmed to be in the mind, and the mind way of doing things and being isn't conducive to going within. This must be practiced from heart, this observation. When we start, we do all this pretty much from the mind perspective, and how could we do anything else? Come on, that's just how it is. That's where we start. And that's fine, really. The persistence is what pays off. As we keep dropping attention to the center chest, big left toe, whatever, things begin to change. You begin to feel sensations there even, and I won't tell you much here. Go and do this for yourself. Then you'll know. Truth is, you don't need an external teacher anyway. It may be a little bit before you wake up to that realization, though. And until then, I'm glad to stand in for you, for your own higher self. It's just a temporary gig, though. As you wake up, you'll just know. You don't need me or Muji or Byron Katie or anyone. Just yourself. Capital S. The real you. You're not inviting the real you to come online with you, with your life there, if you're not centering. Centered in heart. It's always there. Always has been. We have been too distracted to know this. Lost in the mind. That's where we've been all this time, my friends. Thanks Source that way of being is ending for us. It's over. It's on its way out for the one and the many now. With frequencies rising, we're going along for this ride. And it's an exciting one. Change remains just about the only constant. I'm adding in another one though, and that is heart. Heart is constant as well. It's always there. Your friends, your family, your job, even the home front may fail you, but never your heart. Even my concept of Source or of God has quite failed me on a number of occasions. Right now I'm going through that again. I don't know what goes deeper than that. What a ride, what a challenge that was and is, yet the heart is unceasingly there. Even if it's silent, you're still nurtured by going there. Who knows, maybe heart is you in some way. I really don't know. I just know that by living my life this way, I'm happier and more fulfilled than I have ever been before. I'm including all lifetimes here, though I wouldn't quite know that, not yet having full access to outer waking memory of them. So, okay, I exaggerated a bit. Anyway, I don't intend to trade this in for anything unless heart itself leads me to. Good day.